Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the last call. I am Punk Ian. That's Gabe.
I'm Gabe.
Trying to hold it together there, sir.
I, you know, I get up to get a drink and I come back and all hell has broken loose and the James Bond theme's playing and I was like, I did not intend for that because that might actually hit the DMCA and I don't want that. I don't want them paying attention to what music we're opening in the show with. Just
Well, we're
kidding.
gonna have that
Whoever's
fixed.
reviewing.
We're gonna have that fixed. Hopefully, relatively soon.
Oh
Um,
yes.
and then and besides, hopefully it'll just have the small little buffer of silence. So we're just gonna let that. All right.
All right. Oh, and thank you for the Prime sub, my friend.
Yeah, yep, throwing that shit in there. Yep. Get them
Little booty in
Jill
the circle.
Bouttes.
I'm glad they didn't
Um,
come from my booties. Still,
so how's the week been treating you, sir?
man, it's been a week, but we've hit the halfway point. Life's good. Once I get through the next couple of weeks, my plate's gonna open up a little bit, and that's a beautiful thing. But oddly enough, I haven't really gotten sick this week, and I haven't re-injured myself. So we are already miles above the previous two.
Nice.
How you
Nice.
doing? How you doing over there?
Well, we've hit that special time of year in South Florida, sir.
Oh
Um
no.
Now I forget cuz like I said, I've spent the majority of my life in this area and I forget that not everywhere else experiences shit like we do. um so when it's winter everywhere else, uh, not only do we have just people coming down for the holidays because a lot of people's grandparents fucking live down here, so we've got that, and then we have the snowbirds.
Mm-hmm.
These are the people who live in New York, Jersey, places like that. Not hating, just factual. Um, and they come down to stay thawed, stay thawed out. You know, you can't. I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I understand,
Not
but
everybody likes the cold, and I get it too.
right. But there comes a time when the holidays end, New Year's has passed, so a lot of people leave. But then there's the summer, which you think the summer, that's like the busy time. Which, not to say that people don't come here during the summer, they do, because obviously we got the theme parks and shit. But
Right.
it's like that's the thing. Like you just know during the summer, if you're a local here, like, all right, if it's the summer, you ain't going to the fucking amusement parks because everybody else and their mom's gonna be fucking there. Uh, Key West and shit out of the question because all the hot spots that one would think that someone would go in the summer, if you're a local, you just don't go
Yep.
to because you know better. Um, but in between the holidays and that summertime, it's what we call season. And that's when the snowbirds are just out and about and they're trying to live like they're locals. Um, It's one of the few sections of time where usually you see a lot of Florida tags out there, but now it's around the time of year where you're seeing 50-50. I was around somebody from California, which was really weird. That one you don't normally see too often around here. But no, there's a lot of I got some Maine, I had some Maine people, some New York people, some Pennsylvania people, and as one would expect, they're generally fucking up the flow of traffic, making a mess of things. Um, I am pretty law abiding, so say the speed limit is 45, I will go 50, 53. I feel that is respectable,
That is
right?
safe.
That's safe. That's pretty good, right? Right?
Yep.
Everybody else that's a local for some reason around here seems to think that 80 is the safest and normal rate to go, And then all of these people who aren't locals that are here, them snowbirds and shit, they all want to go fucking 30. So it's a zoo out there, sir. It is pure pandemonium. I try to limit my outings to only picking up kids. My kids from school. Let me rephrase that. Picking up my kids from school.
Very good on the clarity there.
Yeah. I do not drive a van.
But I don't understand the tourists trying to blend in, because it's the paradox of the whole thing is that you're going to not. And then, when I was living at the coast too, the same thing happened. Well, you remember because you were there too. When tourist season hit down there, it was like back-to-back traffic. It takes 20 minutes to go what would normally be like 2 minutes. And everybody forgot how to drive simultaneously.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, like a group session of Alzheimer's.
Case in point, going to Cookout one day after a rather, let's just call it really bad hangover, and I'm in the back seat, and in front of us, probably 6 car lengths is the intersection, and we watch somebody run a red light, get T-boned, and their car flip into, oddly enough, into a service station. So, kind of helped themselves there a little bit, and I was like, God, I hope they're okay. Okay, they're okay. Where's the license plate from? And out of town. So don't miss tourist season. So I feel I feel strongly with you here that
now
don't have to deal with that.
Here's a tip for anybody that comes down to Florida that's not used to how shit runs down here. All right. Should you be in a situation where you are lost or you are looking for something and you are brave and bold enough to ask somebody how to get somewhere, let me tell you how to identify a local. All right. Now, here's the thing you're going to notice when looking around. Everybody looks like a fucking tourist. Now, if they look like a regular tourist, that's a genuine tourist. That's a regular tourist. But if you see somebody that looks above and beyond super tourist, that's your Florida local right there. For some reason here, looking like the most extreme version of a tourist of the same state in which you reside has become the fashion statement to make. That's why Tommy Bahama stays in business year round.
Okay, that's what that was my follow up. Okay, that's good. That's good. I think I told you I have the Tommy Bahama. So when my friend just moved to Florida to Orlando and go down to visit, I've got a wardrobe ready to go, man.
Mm-hmm.
I can blend in.
Yeah. That's how we roll down here.
I like that though. That's like, I'm not saying it's lazy. It's laid back in like the best way possible. You ever wore a Tommy Bahama shirt?
Oh yeah, of course.
It's like walking around falling asleep.
And basically, that it's a good indicator too, because then when you see somebody who legitimately looks crazy, but in a non-tourist way, that person's legitimately crazy. That's a crackhead. Stay away from that person. Like they got like the fucking like dirty ass like Airwalk shirt from like 1996, like with holes.
Thank you for bringing that up. Can I ask you something really quick? Personal question. Did one day a Charlotte Hornets windbreaker jacket appear in your closet in the 90s and you just happened to have it?
No, but interesting that you say that specifically, because there was a period of time in the 90s where I saw an abundance of other kids wearing Charlotte Hornet fucking windbreakers.
They were the the turquoise and purple
Yep.
with the, yep. Okay.
I never personally owned one, but I saw a lot of them in the late '90s.
Yep.
What up, Sparrow?
Sparrow got the shirt at the yards. See? Okay. So they do so the jerseys or the windbreakers or whatever do actually pop up like that. And you had enough evidence though to say that it did happen to other people though. Okay. I'm gonna write that down. That's a very weird landmark in time.
Yeah. Well, sir, things have happened in a week's time, as one usually does, or as things usually do, I should say. But starting off last Saturday, we watched the Royal Rumble.
Yes, we did.
Now, this happens every so often where I'll see an advertisement for a pay-per-view. Now, usually it's always a specific thing. I'll see one for oddly enough, what was it? Survivor Series for some reason. That always caught my eye. The Royal Rumble, because the Royal Rumble is a situation where you don't need to know anything that's currently going on. You're watching to watch a Royal Rumble. So, and then of course, if I happen to notice, I'm like, oh shit, it is that time of year. It's WrestleMania time. And usually around those times, I will say, fuck it, I'm going to watch it because, I have the ability to right now. And it spirals the kick again. And I'm like, I'm watching all the old shit. I'm like, oh, here we go. The next couple months, I'm going to be tuning in every week, trying to get caught up and figure out all this shit that I missed.
Which I rag on the MCU a lot, but if you fall like 2 weeks behind on wrestling, you still got a lot of catching up to do, and you're going back through the whole. You've got the whole history book open, and you're like, yes, indeed. Stone Cold did in fact stomp a mud hole in his ass.
Well, what's funny is like I will see, like this is how crazy it's getting for me, and I think this says more about me than it does about the sport, because the sport will just continue on. This is a forever thing. There will always be a WrestleMania, whoever owns it. But the newer, younger guys that were starting out when I was originally stopping paying attention, they're the old veterans now. And I'm like, oh shit. like what was it? John Cena, completely missed that whole fucking thing. Never saw any of that. I know who he is. I get that. I know what it is. Never watched it. It's just like, and all these other people. But anyway, Royal Rumble though, always a good time. And I think it would be fun if we briefly just kind of went over it, because there's only like really 5-6 matches that went on, 2 of which were Rumbles,
and 2 of which were arguably the reason to watch the.
Now I was kind of surprised because I had this. I was kind of confused on how the Rumbles worked. Like, I figured that they did either one of 2 things happened. Either they did both Rumbles last, and whoever had to wrestle beforehand, it's like, well, tough shit. That's the price of being in the Rumble. Or it was the other way around, where the Rumbles are first, and then if you have another match later, tough shit. That's the price of being in the Rumble. But they kind of skirted things in and out. They started though with the men's Rumble.
Yep.
And I think based on what I've read and what I've seen, I've been completely confused. Now, I personally, I kind of enjoy Mr. Cody Rhodes. But apparently, everybody saw this coming a mile away. Him winning. Now, I'm myself, like I said, having gone in and out of things. I'm just confused because I was like, the last time I saw Cody, he was there helping start AEW. And now everybody's like, he's back. And I'm like, I thought he like fucking gave them the finger. What happened?
He did business, and he came out on the good side of that deal. The great side even. And you know what? Good for him.
Yep. But I like having him. As much as I enjoyed what I saw him do in AEW, I kind of like having him in the WWE though, just because of there is the family ties, the legacy, and I'm like, you know what? That's just a good fun fucking angle. But as we were watching it, I have to say, I think me and Unfavored were quite taken, and we were really rooting for our boy Gunther.
He did accomplish something in that match.
Yeah, I was so happy to see that the next day that he set a record. I'm like, it wasn't for nothing.
Wasn't for nothing, and honestly, that was pretty damn cool to see him stay in for all 111 minutes of it. I mean, that is just crazy.
He was number one. But that was pretty dope. I think now the only thing that oddly enough, which I thought was kind of humorous to me, because like I said, I've not really been paying attention. I vaguely heard rumblings that something like this had happened in the past, but I was completely blown away to see fucking Logan Paul fucking run out. You know, whether you like him or hate him, I think he's kind of fucking goofy, and honestly, I kind of been enjoying watching him get into trouble lately. But like it was just weird to see that like everybody was talking about like the move of the match was just when him and the other dude fucking just jumped and collided in the air. They're like, that was the move of the Rumble, the men's Rumble, and I'm like, really?
It was a high spot. I mean, but I know a lot of people are not they're not on Team Paul, but he did sign a contract with them, so I guess we kind of have to get used to him showing up for matches. So the fact that he showed up and actually I don't think did a terrible job. That's a good that's a good start. And that spot was cool with him and Ricochet. Although was the pop when they collided, not when the crowd went ape shit, but when they collided, was someone behind the mic going and or was that like, or was the ring mic picking that up pretty good? Because that sounded painful when they hit.
Well, I mean, if you only have one thing to do, might as well do it right.
That's fair.
That to me would be the ultimate irony, is that like in real life he's this horrible fucking douchebag, but I'm like, but he is pretty good in the ring. That would be the ultimate irony. And the last thing I'll say about the men's Rumble though was it was only for like a minute or two, but it was kind of cool seeing Booker T fucking
I mean, you can tell the age is getting to him, but I mean, he still went out and put 100% into it, and that was awesome.
Yep. Just fucking do the pre-show, throw in your gear, go out there for like 2 minutes, have some fun, and then just fucking dip. Fucking smooth paycheck.
Easy does it. Didn't have to take a bad bump or anything. Just got out of there. Not like in the pre-show, where it was like Botchamania was going or no, that might have been earlier in the Rumble when let's see, who was it? Elias got the it was earlier in the Rumble. Elias got the double boot from Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, and I think it was McIntyre caught him high and bent his nose this way.
Oof.
Because when Elias hit the ground, you can tell when somebody's selling a move, and you can tell when they've really been hit. And when he grabbed his nose, put his hands away, and his hands started shaking, that was when I was like, oh shit, I think he actually connected on the bridge of his nose there with the boot. And you know what? Dude took it like a champ. I haven't seen if it actually broke or anything, but that was an interesting spot on it too, because I was like, the double boot during the Rumble, that is go team, not UK. You know?
I did notice a lot of fuck ups. Not, I mean, throughout the whole night. I didn't particularly notice anything that stood out in the men's Rumble. I mean, I'm sure that they happened. Obviously, they did. But the next match, I did. There's the big one that everybody talked about at the end. But this was interesting because, from what I've been hearing and seeing, is that this match didn't really go over as well as I think that they had hoped. But it was this LA Knight and Bray Wyatt fucking blacklight fucking match, sponsored by Mountain Dew. And honestly, it really feels like people were just mad that Mountain Dew had something to do with it.
Well, they shouldn't, because Pitch Black is fantastic. And even though they didn't bring back the true sour version of it, I had a bottle of the new one the other day, and it gets the job done.
Now, I was kind of, like, when I heard that this was a match, I was slightly excited, just mainly because I don't know a whole lot about Bray Wyatt, but in terms of, like, what he does outside of the ring with his character, he's the only one that I'm like, okay, this guy seems like he's got some shit that he can fucking do. He seems interesting. I like the whole wacko fucking kid show thing, but then he's fucking this crazy fucking dude. Like I dig what he brings to the table. So, and to hear, I remember when I don't know, did they fire him or did he quit or get let go? I don't know what's something, but he was gone for a hot minute. And I thought that was like a big mistake. So having him come back, I'm like, excellent. Here we go. The match to me itself was pretty standard. Nothing spectacular happened. I didn't mind the fucking the blacklight neon shit though. Like how he incorporated the fucking paint to make himself look crazier. I thought that fucking worked real well. I dug that. I didn't like the green fucking jizz pellets that were flying all over the place. That I could have done without that. I know what they were trying to do. Just that one, it's like, yeah, maybe not that part. But the big mishap though, after the match was over, that everybody noticed, just because you would think, I've been thinking about this. Do you think that they train their cameramen at all? Or are they just like, as long as you know how to work the camera? Like, do you think that... I feel that there needs to be a proper training course to film wrestling like this. I mean, it's never going to be perfect. You know what I mean? You can never be perfect. But...
unless you're Mr. Perfect.
But being prepared and trained has always been beneficial over just not being.
Simply, yeah. I think they are, and we talked about this. Me and Chandler and others, we usually do pay-per-view parties over here, and we've talked about it before, because sometimes the pay-per-view, the camera work is just they're knocking it out. Like everything's perfect. The hard cam on the mats looking good. Everything's going well. And then you get these weird angles that they're doing on the side of the ring where it's like, well, I can't see shit. So I'm not really a fan of this.
They're filming an audience member's ass.
I mean, pretty much. AEW's done that before too, where their camera works the same sort of deal. But I really am starting to wonder if it's not the camera work themselves, like the cameramen are getting in place, and then whoever's working the booth is like, go to camera 4. And then they go to camera 4 and camera 4 is not in place, so they have to start. All right, I'm on the ring steps and I'm looking at Sheamus's ass right now because this is the only angle that I have to film, and that's kind of where it goes. So I don't necessarily think it's a lack of training on the cameraman's part, unless they get like those last minute replacements like you get in the heist movies where everything goes wrong. But
oh, God.
I think Wayne Grow. But I think I think whoever's doing the camera work in the booth is also partially to blame for that, because
you need booth people too on top of things. Like, it needs to be like fucking Scrooged crazy up in that booth.
or Naked Gun 3 or Lethal Weapon, or not Lethal Weapon, shit. I had something for that. Never mind. We'll ignore that. Running Man. There we go. But yeah, I feel like there's some blame that lies up there too, because why would you all of a sudden change the camera to that guy that you can tell is not in position because you have the monitor that's monitoring where they're at, and you go ahead and change that over? Or guy in the booth's like, hey, there's a good fan reaction going on out there to the cool thing that's going on in the ring. I get that they want to show that do they have to call them the WWE universe? That's the stupidest, dumbest thing. That the crowd's, enjoying the show and they're shocked, versus what's actually going on in the ring that we would like to see as, the audience, and not have to watch the instant replay after Cole has already, just threw up all over the mic at how awesome it is, and then he has to repeat himself because they can see it on their monitor too, that the camera was not looking at what was going on in the ring. It was looking at Joe Schmo on the 16th row over there, who's like, oh my God, So yeah, I've had that question before, and I think the answer is a combination there.
Shout out to the dude who had the sign Tribal Queef.
There were two.
They got two?
One. There was the one on the ramp, which was the best one because it was front and center, and everybody
Paul Heyman's head was right there next to
it. But when they cut away from that, and it was like a quarter of the way through the match, they had the camera go into what would be the right, if you were sitting at the announcer's booth, the right of the announcer's booth in that corner, and there was one that was written in purple and pink font, like probably 15 or 20 rows back, that the guy was just like, and you could see it clean as day. And I was like, I miss those signs. That's like Attitude Era signs, but not nearly as offensive.
But the big thing that happened with the Bray Wyatt match, though, at the end was, I guess they had that LA Knight dude out. That was outside the ring, and I guess he was on some sort of like platform or something like that. And that Uncle Howdy dude was up top, and he's supposed to like fall down on top of LA Knight, and they were gonna do a big fire thing, make it all fucking creepy and Kane-like, I guess. But the way that the cameras were positioned was like, you clearly see the Uncle Howdy dude like fall and completely miss LA Knight. He just like not even close. Like, he didn't fall and like hit the ground. Like, he didn't fall. Like, he hit his mark, but the mark was LA Knight, I should say. But I mean, he landed safely. He just didn't. But it's like, you see him fucking biff this up so bad, and then to have the fireworks go off. That's like coming in last place and then confetti and shit pops.
Yeah. That I'm glad you brought that up because I've remembered in the past whenever they've done spots like that where somebody jumps off the equipment boxes onto somebody below or something like that, or off the stadium onto somebody. They usually film below the point of impact,
Make it
so
look
you
higher.
can't see that. Yeah, and it makes it look higher too. But they're usually beside the point of impact. Again, Attitude Era, Steve Blackman will, or did Shane jump on Steve Blackman or Steve Blackman jump on Shane? I can't remember. But point being, back then, yeah, they were not as safe and they wouldn't have they would have done it differently. But there, it was kind of like they had two cameras. I remember there was one with Uncle jumping off there, and it was at standing level if you were standing beside the point of impact, and then the other one was slightly off to the side of that, but it was like looking down, and that was the one that you could very clearly see that was like the boards collapsed under LA Knight, and Uncle Fuckface is off to the right somewhere rolling around, and there we go. I don't want to criticize a multi-million-dollar production like that, but that's that was a missed opportunity, and I think it took away from how cool that match actually was. But the plus side was Bray Wyatt's got a new character, the Fiend's retired, and the Firefly family is retired, so he's got some new gimmick going on, and I'm excited to see where it goes because
he's fun.
He's fun. He's like the old, he's like in the 80s, 90s wrestling style where it was like you could have an undead zombie wizard. You could have super Russian, or I'm sorry, super Soviet guy versus super America guy. And, everything was cool. Like I miss that kind of wrestling where kayfabe was alive and it wasn't all, we're going to feud on social media now stuff.
I've been playing the 2K game, and I'm like, why is so much of this on Twitter? Like my dialogue options are through Twitter. I'm like, what? Like, what happened to like arguing? In the ring. I mean, as cringe as that is, when did that go away?
Well, what happened to the only exception to the Twitter thing is Iron Sheik, who has not stopped his feud with Hulk Hogan. And
I love
is
that.
keeping kayfabe alive. Love it.
Yep.
Everybody have a good day except for that motherfucker Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
Love it. Remember, I think it was Roddy Piper and Goldust got into the street fight. Like those pre-filmed segments like that. I know that they're pre-filmed and people can tell sometimes because like, why was the cameraman sitting up on the balcony looking down into the parking lot?
It's 9:00 at night. Why is it daylight outside?
What the hell's going on? But that kind of stuff, it drew you into the story. Like, yeah, the Twitter stuff's cool, but it's kind of like all the Metal Gear Solid 5 conspiracy theories about stuff to unlock in game. You had to go out into the world to do it. There wasn't an official ARG, and for a game like that, it's not the most cohesive experience if you have to go reach out to find out that Seth Rollins told Roman off on Twitter. It's not contained within the show at that point.
But the next match that happened, which, this, I just feel sad when I see her, and it's not because she's a bad performer, but so we had the Alexa Bliss and Bianca Belair for the women's championship. Now, I when the whole Bray Wyatt thing happened and he had to leave, I felt like she really got the shaft because like they were really starting to build something up with her as a part of it, and then they fucking just boot him, and then all of a sudden they're like, just do that shit that you were doing before. And then like she's just been kind of like waiting, and now Bray's back, and they're like, okay, I've got some good shit for you, and like they're not even talking to her anymore. But I do know at the end of this match they did play the crazy shit to make her like she's fucking schizo too, like at the end. So I'm sure that she's probably gonna get involved again somehow. But she seems like she could be a lot of fun, but I just feel bad for her because it's like that she just keeps getting the shaft.
And I wonder if they're doing that to build up her character. And the Bray Wyatt had a similar issue. I think back in 2020, he's the only wrestler to win best gimmick and worst gimmick in the same year, which is like I can't figure that out. But you know, I would like to see, you know, if she is following the trend of Bray Wyatt, because that was what happened to him. He lost a bunch of matches, and that lost his momentum on his character and all of that. But if they're gonna do something like that, let her rip. You know, again, back to that 80s 90s thing. Give us the super kayfabe character. Just let her, you know, let her go nuts with it and see what happens. That's why I think everybody got nervous when Vince kind of went back into the picture because of the creative control.
Mm.
And who has creative control now? Is it just H? Who is it? So if they put faith in her and let her do her thing, that might be. I'm just saying it might be good. She's a popular wrestler already. They could strap the rocket to her.
I'm not too familiar with Bianca Belair, but I will say that whenever I see somebody twirling hair like that, I'm like, you need some weapons in that bitch. You need some blades, you need some glass. Like we need like Return of the Living Dead 3 type fucking shit going on with that hair. The only real fuck up that I noticed in that one was the one where towards the end Bianca was doing this cool like in between kind of flip off the ropes and shit, but Alexa landed where she was like I think she like needed to land because of what happened, but you could tell she saw what Bianca was doing and she's like, oh, so she like shimmied over while she was laying down, like pretty hard shimmy, and it's like it happens. I get it. That there's worse things that can happen, but it's just unfortunate that was like center camera.
Yeah, that's that that's one of the faults sometimes where you do pick up that kind of stuff too. I
After that, oh, go ahead.
and I'm trying to remember. Okay, no, that match wasn't all that short relatively, because I think the Bianca Belair match, yeah, it's listed at just over 7.5 minutes, and the Bray Wyatt match was only 5. So I mean, they put on a good show for what it was during that time too, and that's
It was
awesome.
the halftime show for the Rumbles.
Yes, because the real halftime show was not very good.
Yeah. But then we had the Ladies Rumble. And now this is, I noticed a lot of the most flubs with this one, but it is what it is. It's fine. It's chaos. That's what the Rumble is anyway.
Yes.
Some of the things that I noticed that kind of like irked me is that going in as number 1 and making it to the end, whether you're the winner or you're the second person to the end, like you're the runner-up, that is supposed to be a statistical anomaly. Like that, like how they present it. That's supposed to be a rare feat. That happened in both Rumbles that night, where our boy Gunther, he was 1 and he made it, and he was the one that Cody threw out, and Cody was the last. Now number 1 was Rhea Ripley, which apparently she was the expected winner as well. I don't think anybody expected anything else really. But she was number 1. That poor woman was having a rough Rumble. There were a couple of moves I noticed, either that she was trying to do or that people were trying to do on her that just didn't work out. I think I think her nose started to bleed at one point.
Yep.
She was having she was I thought every time she was on camera that she was dangerously close to having a horrific wardrobe malfunction. Not that I would have complained. I'm just stating that that is some. I'm sure that she would prefer that not happen. So I would prefer that not happen for her. Um, but
Yes.
I did notice that I don't know who did it. I'll have to rewatch it because I wonder if there's a moment where it's seen who did it. But there was a good portion about halfway through. Her top in the back was like 3/4 unzipped.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then later on it was completely fixed, and I'm like, somebody was looking out for her and fixed her shit. I want
They
to I want to know who that guardian angel was.
we noticed it as well, and we were just like, oh, this is about to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
This is a potentially about to turn a, well, they're not really PG wrestling anymore. I think they're leaning back towards the PG-13 ish now. So, yeah, that would fall into that category. But come on, that don't. It has to be planned and all of that. It can't just be a wardrobe malfunction during the Rumble, because that actually, if that happened, could you imagine how that would have probably thrown everything off? Because I'm pretty sure everybody in the ring would have been like, "Oh shit,"
Yeah.
and and then the announcers are like, "Oh, how can we not draw attention to what just happened by saying anything?" It's that's got to be frightening from a live show perspective. That would, you know what? I'm not gonna say what I was about to. Yes, I am. That would be.
Go ahead.
That would be like, you have to, we're doing our show and we're doing it over at somebody else's house, and like when you were a kid and for whatever reason your friend's dad would like walk around in his robe in the morning, and then you're like, that's walking in the camera behind you, but worse. Like think along those lines. Like that would just be bad. So props to whoever was like, saved you there.
That's when they cut to special guest specialist Lita.
Well, somebody caught in the women's Royal Rumble when what's her name? When Beth Phoenix came out, and Edge came out there too, and whoever it was standing behind him on the ramp, and Edge was grabbing his wife's ass in front of everybody, and somebody tweeted it out, and he was like, "Hey, can you blame me?" And it's like, okay, Edge, you got us there. That's the kind of humor we need in this.
Puppies. Yes.
Yes, they would have given him a mic just for that, probably.
JR would have been having to fan him, put water. Lawler needs some water.
You're sick, damn it.
Now, let's see here. There really wasn't other than those things. The only thing that I would complain about, and it's like you run into this problem with Rumbles all the time, but I thought it was very evident in the women's Rumble this time go around, was they were very good at letting people have their moment to shine in the center ring. Like, everybody was very knowledgeable of when, okay, oh, hey, they're having a moment. Let's let them have their moment.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not very good at, like, because I'm like, when everybody else is just lying around the perimeter of the ring, like resting or injured, I'm like, you got to spice that up a little bit, because having everybody just lay down and they're all looking at the center of the ring waiting for that moment to end.
I forgot, we were watching a classic match, and we watched it after the Rumble went off, and we were talking about how on the 3 count for the pin, how some people are better at it than others, and how some of the refs are better at doing the count to set it up than others. and how on I forget whose match it was. It was like you had a steady 1, 2, and then you had like a wide berth, and then it went in almost slow motion, so they could do the
Swoop and then
the
throw
swoop.
up the 2.
Yeah, and it was very noticeable, and I kind of started picking up on it too. But it's the same sort of deal where I guess they don't really realize the awareness of what's going on in the ring to put the show on to make it. What makes it sports entertainment is that you're supposed to not be able to tell where the line is crossed for real and fake. That kind of makes it hard to stay on one side of the line or the other, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So it was painful watching that at times, and then other times, the people were off to the side doing their thing, sharing chest slaps, and it worked because it looked like they were still just going at it. And then the people who were gassed, I think Gunther at one point even was like, just kind of resting, like, So there were some low spots like that, but I think some of the high spots made up for it.
One thing that really surprised me, only because I've seen this person do some pretty bad things, and I'm surprised that anybody would allow this to happen. But having Nia Jax fucking come on out again, I'm like, it's my understanding that nobody likes working with her because she's pretty reckless. And it's like, what kind of message are you sending to your other employees if you're letting that out?
You can screw up 10 times as long as you're cousin with a rock. Allegedly, I don't want to get wrapped up in some litigation.
I completely forgot about that. You're absolutely right. I remember that now. That's true. But you know what? I'm going to say this. Now, we're all adults. And we're talking about other adults wearing spandex, fighting in a ring. I want everybody to remember that that's what we're talking about, so we don't need to get all butthurt. Now, I know that when it comes to Nia Jax, there's a very easy, low-hanging fruit joke one can make.
Yes.
Now, normally I wouldn't make that joke because I'm not that kind of guy. Gabe, I'm not that kind of guy. But there is a part of me that where I see it in her and I'm like, she's kind of acting like Bam Bam Bigelow. I could go for a crazy female Bam Bam Bigelow. Just roll her out. Like,
You could, but then half the damn people that she fights in the ring are going to end up with broken noses or backs, or allegedly.
You know what? If that's how you have the new guard. I mean, not to say that people don't respect Triple H anyway, but that's how you let people know that the new guard means business. Where it's like, hey, if you fuck up, your punishment, you got to match with her.
Just for that play that you going one-on-one with Nia Jax.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
She'd have to go full Hogdo and shave her head and do the flame tattoos.
I'd agree. She'd have to go full Guy Fieri with it. Yeah, I don't know the full story behind it because I hadn't been keeping up with it too much when all of that went down. I just know that she picked up some CM Punk levels of heat in the locker room for how reckless she was with it, and when she broke Becky Lynch's nose that night, who took it like a champ, that was some pretty serious stuff. And safety in the ring is very important because people's careers have ended. Draws's career ended for an honest mistake. His was his was pretty bad, but it's a dangerous sport, and I do use the term sport seriously there because it is a very physical activity. But to have people who are considered that unsafe out there and then to put them in the Rumble, That was dangerous. It wasn't too bad though. It was interesting to see the crowd's reaction to her coming back. Almost as interesting as Rey Mysterio not
Yeah.
coming out, which I found out why.
Well, didn't he get injured a couple days ago? Yeah.
He got injured on SmackDown, so they wrote him out, which makes me wonder how the Rumble was supposed to go, because Mysterio was the previous record holder for staying in the ring the longest before Gunther shattered the time.
There's something else that I'm wondering, where I'm like, I wonder if there's somebody like behind the scenes, like a cameraman or like one of the higher ups who's just never on camera, but like in a control panel, always watching the monitors, who really, really despises Nia Jax. And when she came out in the 30 spot, can we discuss how unnaturally long the walkway was from the entrance to the fucking ring? It was like a mile long. It curved and bended. But I'm imagining that somebody who really despised Nia Jackson, she comes out and she's like, motherfucker, she's got to trot all that way.
Wasn't it? I think it might have been the 2016 Royal Rumble when they had to cart Undertaker into the ring because the ramp was like 55 yards long or something stupid like that, and Rikishi.
Oh God.
They carted him down there too, which I don't blame them. If you're only going out there to wrestle for like 2 to 3 minutes and get eliminated, not that makes it sound unceremonious what they're doing, but I get it, like legacy wrestlers and all that. But if you're gonna do that, you don't want to be gassed by the time you get into the ring, especially if cardio is not your thing. I mean, just as a general rule, I wouldn't want to do that if I know I'm not in good enough shape to make the Ultimate Warrior sprint down the damn ramp. I don't want to be gassed when I get in the ring and go to do a move and botch it because I'm physically drained from running that distance. That's how the Nia Jax shit happens.
You're like, man, the lights must be really hot. It's like, no, they just made it to the ring.
It's 32 degrees outside and he's sweating bullets. What happened? Okay. Cardio's not his thing. That's fine. And I know cardio's not Undertaker's thing because he doesn't have to move for anybody.
Everybody's sitting there like they watched the old school ones with like Andre the Giant, and they had like the little mini rings that they stood on and rolled out, and they're like, son of a bitch.
Can I get that in my contract?
And then the last match of the night was Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens. To be honest, I have absolutely no idea what's going on with this story with like his little family of people, and they got Sammy, which is like their little white boy. I don't know what's going on. All I know is that throughout my time of paying attention and not paying attention, Roman Reigns, whether he's been a good guy or a bad guy, is he all we got? Like him and Lesnar, are these really the only two dudes that we have?
I think they're building up. They're building up people because they've dropped Rollins down a little bit, and you don't have Moxley anymore. At this point I can't remember what his damn name was for WWE. So they're experimenting with talent there. And I think what they did with Sami Zayn was probably one of the best things that they've done in a bit. That whole Bloodline story that's the 80s, 90s shit. Like that's keeping the kayfabe alive. You got the head of the table and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And then Sami is an outsider that they bring in, and I don't know if you had looked back into the story too much, but Jey Uso originally didn't want to be part of the Bloodline and reluctantly had to join because Roman imposed his will upon him, much like Negan imposed his will upon
I'm gonna smash you if you don't join.
Pretty much. And Sami Zayn stepped in and legitimately wanted to be part of the thing and was taking shots for them and all of that, and they were still considering him an outsider, kind of like the promo was talking about. And I'd seen a lot of the clips of him on the show and everything. I was like, they are actually building a story here with some good long-term storytelling that has paid off, and now we don't know what's going to happen with them. It's very interesting, you know.
Mm-hmm. Somebody needed their blanket. Anyway, but the only thing I had to go off of was the promo. Although I recognize the Usos, I recognize Roman Reigns. Kevin Owens has always been a weird one to me. I'm like, he doesn't look like a champion. Like he looks like somebody that pal around with Raven back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm like, he just looks like some guy. He's just some guy in jorts. and But when I actually saw him in the ring with Roman, I'm like, all right, fucker's tall. I'll give him that. I'll give him that. I'll give him that. But he just wasn't very well defined, I would say. You know, he doesn't have a traditional superstar look, and that's fine. And that's fine. But I was just sitting here and I'm like, man, this is who we got for main events right now. Like like a guy that's been around for a hot minute, like Roman Reigns, and then some guy. I know there's more to it. Like I said, I haven't been keeping up to things, and I only had that promo to go off of. But just like I at least recognize them and know their names.
It's a little weird because we're kind of gone from the days where you had to be big as shit to be a world champion because you were going to be the face of the company, and now you can, you know, I'm not saying Kevin Owens is out of shape. The dude can do moonsaults.
Yeah.
And stuff. Like he's a big body that also has finesse and agility. And seeing him in that after I've started watching wrestling a long time ago, and you know, I kind of fall out of it and then come back in when some stuff gets interesting, but really awesome seeing him go from where he was to where he's at now, where he's facing off in the in a title match, and he's got his old friend there, and he's got new enemies with his, like, there's something really cool about that, and you don't have to be on steroids to get to that at this point anymore.
But I miss those days, man. Like, I miss, like, this champion brought to you by Roid Rage. You know what I mean? I miss the days of Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, where his muscles had muscles, and he had the chain man.
Where he had his freaks and his peaks. Also, hello, Lucy. Sorry, didn't mean to forget about you there. I was in the zone for a second. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, to a point, but also, dude, his biceps looked unnatural. I mean, they were because he was a genetic freak. That's why. Yeah. And then if you haven't watched the Steiner math video, go to YouTube after the show and watch the Steiner math video and prepare to be blown away by his promo skills, because he had it all. Yeah, I get that though, but I think after what happened with Eddie Guerrero too, I think they had to kind of and Chris Benoit, who you can't even mention now. I don't think you can bring up. I don't think you can use roids anymore. I think you can't be on gear.
I will take the unfavorable route and say that I do think that strictly only for career stuff, Benoit should still be in the Hall of Fame. But Lucy
with the sub, 14 months.
But if we're gonna do that though, we need to put in Lady, fucking his wife, because she was pretty important to the fucking history of wrestling in her own right. And then we also I think his son should be in the Hall of Fame because granted he wasn't a wrestler, he wasn't employed by the company, but you tend not tell me that those images when he was used on the show, like, in the ring with his dad holding him and shit, that's not fucking marketable and a fucking amazing moment in fucking wrestling history. So you
Hmm.
know what? Fuck it. Put them both in. Which, like I said, she should be in there anyway. But put the son in there too. But you know what? That's a situation though where you put an asterisk next to his name, where it's like he's here only for career moments, but we do not approve of what happened outside the ring, kind
Yeah,
of
I
deal.
mean, the NFL does it all the fucking time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but we never said that they were not a very moral company. That said, that is a sticky situation because most people don't take into account the fact that his brain was mush at that point.
Yeah. I mean,
He
when you look at his move, the flying headbutt that he did all the time,
The
like,
unprotected headbutt that he also took unprotected chair shots from in the same match he used that. I mean, that dude probably walked away from every match with a concussion.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But
Damn.
but that was the Rumble. I had a good time with it. It sparked the interest again. So, I watched Raw the other day. I had fun.
Was
So
Raw good?
nothing supremely amazing, just declarations of things to come, really. But it wasn't bad.
Okay. I might actually pick it up again. Chandler saw that you were putting on Judgment Day.
Or
Spoiler.
Vengeance.
Yeah, or yeah, Vengeance for Saturday. Because we're also going to do James Bond movies, so we'll have James Bond movies on one screen and wrestling on the other.
Oh shit.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, you have options Saturday. We got a smorgasbord for everybody. But he said, and I quote, "Well, if NXT didn't fucking suck right now, I'd be in Charlotte watching it on Saturday." So I'm a little bit concerned because NXT used to be it was better than the main show. Like it had that was the Triple H era though, and that
Yep.
was the
And well, I hopefully it'll get back to
I hope so. I love the smaller shows like that though. Like they oftentimes take risks on stuff that they wouldn't do on a main roster because they can get away with it and because they consider it developmental. But I don't think it's developmental when you know you look at like Tommaso Ciampa and guys like that who were gods in NXT, and then when they got to the main roster, they fizzled out because they called them up too soon or called them up too late in some cases, and they didn't know what to do with them. So NXT, maybe Sparrow, maybe that's your ECW, or it could be.
um yeah, I when it comes to NXT, I have hopes that it'll get back to like I said, I've been enjoying. I've been rewatching stuff. I started at 2014, and it's fun. It's interesting. Um, I'm looking something up that I should have looked up earlier.
Lucy, we're talking about wrestling. We all have our vices. Wrestling happens to be one of mine outside of the 55,000 other things like
Okay,
terrible
there we go.
movies. And
There we
also, Ian, I just got a shipping notification on that box set from Severin.
go. Oh, nice. Now moving on from Raslin to the next topic. I want to say, or there's a couple things I have to say. And I'm gonna do this my best, the best of my ability, because I know you're holding out until the end. But, sir,
You're not going to hurt my feelings if you spoil anything from that show.
uh, episode 3 of The Last of Us.
Okay.
I've heard this term being said, and one would think, oh, that's an over exaggeration, but it's not wrong if I feel the same way. It's
Okay.
rare when it happens, and I'm glad that I got to see it the night that it aired. But That episode, with credits and all, comes in an hour and 15 minutes. That is hands down, right as of right now, within I don't know how many years. I'd have to go back to see what the last time was that this happened, but that it was the single greatest moment of television ever created. It was such a thoughtful and impactful story that was self-contained pretty much in that episode. It was fucking phenomenal.
I
Fuck
have
it,
heard
yeah.
nothing but good things about it, except for people criticizing the setting and the scouting location, and I'm just like, y'all get the fuck out of here. I really couldn't give a shit less if the writing is good, because
We're
I
the
heard
ones that enjoy Jason Takes Manhattan, but it's really Vancouver or
Jason
whatever.
Jason Takes Vancouver, eh? Yeah, I don't care that didn't look 10 miles west of Boston. Stephen King, dude, you picked the wrong battle for that one, because there's allegedly a 2 hour long version of the episode, and
Oh,
one of the producers said that they watched it twice and they cried both times. So, and that's all I've heard from the episode is it was like you said, it was thoughtful, it was impactful, it is self-contained, it does advance the story a little bit. It's like let's bring the X-Files out. That's like season 1 episode of the X-Files EBE. It's one of the things that I taught in writing workshops was that episode. Was because that episode expanded the lore without really pushing the plot all that forward, because the twist, spoiler alert, is that the thing that Mulder and Scully are chasing isn't there the whole time, and you get all of this little self-contained paranoia in the episode and all that, and it's really good, it's really well written, but at the end you walk away into the fog like Mulder does and go, I'm back where I started. But at the same time, every character that's involved has evolved a little bit over the course of the episode. And that's what I'm hearing about this. And that alone makes me want to watch it, but it's got Nick Offerman in it. So I kind of have to now.
oh yeah. It was great, and I like that. I was like I said, I listened to the accompanying podcast afterwards, and they were talking about Nick Offerman specifically, and they said something that I've always agreed with, and I was so happy that somebody like I told you, like the guy who did Chernobyl and the guy who did the game working together, they're making all the right fucking moves, dude. They're considering all of the things that people like us would be like, I wish you would have considered that. They're considering shit like that. But they were asked, they're like, because he's obviously fucking, he's Ron Swanson, he's a comedic dude, you know, and he said that he goes, when it comes to serious dramatic moments like this, he likes to cast comedians and stuff, especially when there's settings and stuff like that, because these are the people that they see the world for what it is anyway. They're when the post-apocalypse setting kicks in and everything, they're like, this is shit I've already known. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
they there's a bit of humanity and realism still in them in the performance. And I was just like, yeah. But we don't really get into politics and social politics here on the show, mainly just because they're boring. And
Our
everybody
motto's been everybody love everybody from the beginning.
yeah. But there is I'm gonna delicately tiptoe some toes around a water situation, and I'm glad that I'm bringing this up not because I've seen people fucking bitch about it, and I'm glad that nobody's bitched about it, but it's something in how it's being reported that's slightly bothering me. And these, I guess, maybe contains slight spoiler. It's not a spoiler to the story. It's just minor details. but this keeps getting reported as like the best like gay thing, like story ever told, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't have like a, for lack of a better way of explaining it, some sort of tribal achievement. Just like, like I'm saying there needs to be like, black achievements, Asian achievements, Native American. There needs to, I'm not saying don't be proud of certain shit I'm not saying that. But don't sell yourself so short. Like, this is just a great thing, period. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to throw it in the little box. Like it doesn't matter that that's part of the, the subtext or part of the story, or like this is like, and anybody that gets pissed off about some stupid shit like that anyway, like they don't need to watch the show.
No, they don't. And
But
I've read the comment section, so
yeah. But it's just, yeah, and like I said, no, thankfully I've not really seen anything where anybody complains about that part. And plus, it's implied in the game anyway, so it's not like they just threw that out for the sake of throwing it in there.
it
But
ain't even implied, dude. It's pretty in your face, I
yeah,
think.
so, but I just I'm like, don't sell yourself short. Like, don't just say it's a great this moment. Like, it's just a great moment, period. You know what
I'm
I
a
mean? Like this needs to go down in history as one of the greatest episodes of a series ever.
yeah, and I've tried to have this conversation before, and I've got to watch my words because I got lambasted last time because I phrased it wrong. But the intent here for me is in an effort to highlight it, you've isolated it that way. If you say it's the best gay story ever, or the best gay episode of TV ever, or whatever, or anything like that, like in an effort to, like you're saying, you sell yourself short, when in reality, from everything I'm hearing, it's one of the best pieces of writing, TV ever, like above Ozymandias from Breaking Bad, which is heralded as probably one of the best pieces of TV that's ever come out. That's pretty bold. Those are pretty bold shoes to fill. That story was not a love story. That was a just a great episode of crime drama TV. This, if it is as thoughtful as it says it is, it should transcend that, and it doesn't have to be that. It is just the best story, and that in and of itself, I think, has so much more weight and so much more power to it that you can say, I don't even have to isolate it that way to make it valid, because it is valid. It's still going to be that, but it's still the best part of TV right now. And Nick Offerman, the comedy guy, that's even better. As we've said before, comedians tend to do horror movies and horror shows better anyway. So that just, you had the perfect blueprint already from the game that was basically a movie, and then you casted it well, and then you wrote it out well, you expanded upon the lore well, and here we are. I haven't even seen the episode, and I'm fucking hyped for it.
There is one moment, and I'm not going to spoil anything, like any particular thing that happens, but there is one thing that is said. It's dialogue, is what it is, that I do want to share, because while I was thoroughly enjoying this, like I said, 20 out of 10 all day, every day, from beginning to end, while I was enjoying it, everything I was seeing, what sent it over the moon for me and hit that personal, because that's what you need. You can watch something that you can objectively say is spectacular, but if it's missing that personal gut punch as well, then is it, like, yeah, I got that gut punch, and I have to say what it was in terms of dialogue. So remember how I've said, like, I broke down the kind of characters that I like, the Obi-Wans, the old ones who've seen some shit, but now they're kind of recluse and like they live with their past and stuff like that.
Grizzled veterans.
Yeah. There's another part of that I always kind of like am drawn to, and it's the need to protect something or someone else, like a duty almost to protect one thing, whether it be a person or an object, whatever it is. And obviously being married and a parent, that shit comes fucking natural. But I'm not gonna give the context in which why this letter exists. But Nick Offerman's character leaves a letter for Joel, and I think it sums up exactly what this episode is all about and what this series is all about. And this was my gut punch. This isn't the whole letter, but this is just a small segment. And he put, I used to hate the world, and I was happy when everyone died. But I was wrong, because there was one person worth saving. That's what I did. I saved him, and I protected him. That's why men like you and me are here. We have a job to do. And God help any motherfuckers who stand in our way.
Well, that hits it home.
Yeah, I was just like, oh.
I'm actually welled up in my eyes right now a little bit. That is yeah, the Samurai Bushido code. Yep. Sacrificial masculinity. Yep, we all have that thought in our head a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
But
yeah.
what's funny is it's like it's so deep and thoughtful. But what really gets me is the God help any motherfuckers that try to stand in our way. Like that's I'm like the humor. That's the humor part of it almost. But it's like that's
the
the
power
most.
of it.
Even though all of the stuff that comes before that sentence is really deep and true and honest, that motherfuckers part, that's the honest part of the fucking statement right there. You know what I mean?
that's where you're. I have to use it at work, because if I talk like I do here at work, I wouldn't have a job long. But that's where the mask of I don't want to say your mask of professionalism. Everybody has it to a degree, but that letter up to that point is when the mask comes off, and then that's when you get the, like you're saying, that's the true honest feeling. That's from the heart. That's from the heart and the soul. And like whoever wrote that, I want to send them a thank you letter, because that puts all of the emotion on the table. That's the love, that's the hate, that's all of it meshed together. And I think that's really powerful.
What another funny part about that letter too is that like he the letter is placed in such a way because the letter is intended for Joel to find.
Mm-hmm.
And it's left in a way in which like only Joel would probably get to it like successfully. But it was funny though because he did start the letter like to whomever, but probably Joel. And I was just like, that's funny.
That's good. That's not to stray away from the point here, but that's just a sign of actually like that's good writing. That's how you know it's personable in a very particular way.
Because how him and Joel particularly bond is, it's like he pretty much says it where he's just like, we're friends, but not because like we're chums, we're buddies, but it's like we both have the same mindset where I'm like, you've got what you're protecting and I've got what I'm protecting. Like you and me are the ones in this on our separate situations that do the same thing. So it's kind of like it's a respectful friendship. Or he's like, I know we're not really friends, but I guess we are. Because of this shared bond that we have. Like you're the only one that's going to understand what I'm saying. Truly.
I hate to bring full comedy into it, but Ron Swanson on Parks and Rec has a similar quote about friendships with people that you hardly see. It's like, I haven't talked to him in 3 years and he's the best friend I've ever had. That seems kind of like that character in a way too, where you're like, I'm glad I got to meet you and we do have this bond, but The world is what it is now, and it needs people like us. The world the world is trapped in here with us and not the other way around.
But hands down, quite possibly for a long time, that will probably be the best hour and 15 minutes of television for a hot minute. The
You think we're
show's
gonna get the 2 hour cut?
I would imagine that if there's going to be a home release, which it's HBO, yeah, HBO does do home releases. I hope it'll be on there because yeah, every single episode has just fucking been like it's just varying degrees where like each episode's above the out of 10 level, but it's like okay, it's like oh, that one's like 15 out of 10. That one's 12 out of 10. That one's 18 out of 10.
This one broke the scale.
Right. So, I think the next episode is we're gonna get into some real shit. So I think we're out of the honeymoon phase after the third episode. So hopefully we get into the nitty gritty. See how episode 4 treats us next week.
Welcome to Depression, the TV show.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing too. That's what separates it from The Walking Dead, and that's I'm glad that other people noticed that. And that's what I was explaining to the in-laws because I asked if they watched because they watch everything. I asked if they got to that watching The Last of Us yet, and they said no, not yet. And I started explaining it, and they're like, "Oh God, it sounds like another Walking Dead." And I'm like, "It's not. I mean, yes, but it's not." Like it's like because, like I said, the difference being, The Walking Dead never had hope. This has hope.
Yeah.
Like it's not fucking just like one depressing thing after another. Like I mean, it's thoughtful. When it's depressing in this show, it's thoughtful, reflective depression. but there's something to go to strive towards.
Yeah, even if it's the hope is potentially out of reach because I can't remember if it's Dark Knight Rises that this quote comes from, but hope can infect you and it can make you irrational because you hold out too much of it. This is more like Cormac McCarthy's The Road, whereas Walking Dead is like a caricature of the road tale where they should be in motion a lot, and after the first season that kind of stopped, and then you stayed on the farm too long, then you stayed in Alexandria too long, then the motion kind of goes out and the drama's the focus and the zombies are the background, whereas in the Last of Us, at least in the game, they intertwined well enough to where it didn't get boring and the characters were so interesting that you came back for more.
Yeah, not yeah, Sparrow. That's how The Walking Dead was for me. It's like anytime they were moving locations or like having this big it's like I never felt like they were moving towards anything positive. It was just like let's just move on to the next spot to wait so that hopefully we don't die.
Which I never understood why they were right there. Why didn't they just go to the Outer Banks? Wait a minute. That just undermined the whole damn show for me. I'm not going back and rewatching that shit.
But anyway, like I said, we will watch and see what The Last of Us gives us. But so far, amazing. And if you haven't watched it, be prepared. It is, and I'm not even saying for like an emotional like thing. I mean, it has moments like that, but they even know when to like just. There's no dialogue, no actors on screen. There's just like ambient, silent shots that speak a million fucking words that are just so perfect.
Like Watchmen?
Like the last shot of this episode, like before the credit. I'm not even gonna say what the shot is of, but when you see it, you'll understand what it means, like from watching the episode.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see that last shot, it's just a silent, ambient shot, and there's no actors, there's no dialogue. It's just a thing, and you're just like, This is the this is the perfect way to close this episode.
Okay. How many episodes is in the season?
Because of the way they recut how the first episode was, there's gonna be 9 in total now.
All right, I got to survive 6 weeks without any of the major changes, because I know that it followed pretty close and that they've deviated enough to where it is an adaptation and not a straight.
The only thing I do
shot.
know that has been confirmed is that they said that they are going to cover the entirety of the first game in this first season.
I'm not ready to be hurt again. On a personal note about the game, when we played it, me and my friend that moved to Orlando, we got it at midnight and came back, stayed up till 4, drinking brewskis as one does. And we got out of the opening thing, and I have not sat in a room with 2 grown-ass men crying like that before, but I was like, man, this is kind of messed up. And then we got to the end, and we had a full philosophical breakdown of what the ending, because you still haven't played through the game yet, right?
I'm keeping along with the show.
Okay. The end has a conversation between 2 characters, and I'm not going to say who, that carries so much weight. And when we get to that point, I'll discuss it with you, but it's a very simple conversation. It lasts like maybe 15, 20 seconds. And it sums up a lot of the character motivations. And it sums up a lot about the characters. It sums up the game very well. It sums up a lot of emotion into one thing. And that's why I've been hesitant to play part 2, because I know it undoes a lot of that. And that makes me a little sad. But at the same time, we'll always have that. So when the time comes, Ian, I would like to have that philosophical conversation with you, because I think
I'm looking forward to it, just because like I have some friends who absolutely they stay away from video games. They don't play video games. It's not in their wheelhouse or vocabulary or interests at all. But I have like one friend who's like that, but he's just like, dude, I played Last of Us, and you need to play this game. He's like this. He's like if video games were like this all the time, I'd play them. And I'm like, oh shit, if you are saying that, that must mean something. Now, the main event. My main event. We finally got our announcement. It finally happened. Mr. James Gunn, he said that it would happen in January, and the days on the calendar were going by. We got to literally the last fucking day. And that son of a bitch. He was just like, see you at noon. All right, he's honest.
Were you surprised, though?
No. No.
That's spot on.
But James Gunn, that son of a bitch, and I like that it wasn't even the full slate.
It was just 10 items, right?
It was 10 items, but that's not everything that's in the first slate. if now, I could be wrong, and of course there's a lot of want to compare to Marvel.
Sure.
So it seems that instead of saying phase, they're going to say chapter. And chapter 1 is titled Gods and Monsters.
Which I like.
I like. Now we're going to run through the 10 things that were announced for the up. Now this is after the Shazams and the Aquamans and what have yous. That once that shit is dead, we're heading into new territory. Now, we had a combination of things. We're going to have animated series, live action HBO Max series, live action film.
Love it.
The first, Creature Commandos. Admittedly, I don't know a whole lot about, but from what I've read, I'm very excited. Because this is essentially, like in the comics and everything from what I've seen, is using the Universal monsters to fight in World War II.
I'm there.
Yeah.
That. Thank you,
have,
James Gunn.
We're gonna have a wearer now. Now this is according to this the original, and this is in the comics. In the original, let's see, where the fuck was it? It just had it. Oh no, that's right. I was looking at this. That's what it was. The original team was there was a human team leader, a werewolf, a vampire, Frankenstein's monster, and a gorgon. Now, the only thing that has been slightly announced about it is that they're doing it slightly different. So I don't know if we're gonna get all of those particular creatures, especially since Universal owns the original monsters. So they're just gonna have. How are you? How does Frankenstein's monster work in terms of legality?
I think a lot of those are I'm not gonna say they're in public domain, but I think you're gonna get by on parody because they're not the same characters exactly.
All right.
But
speaking,
anything I say here is not legal advice, so please do not
Yeah.
take it as such.
The only thing that I know about this is that, like I said, it's animated, and that one character that is a part of the team that was announced was in James Gunn's newest Suicide Squad that had come out like a year or two ago. That fucking weird weasel character.
Yep.
He's on the team. It better be Domain.
I don't know how they did. I don't know how. Well, Joe Bob talked about Mary Shelley and Frankenstein and all that in the Monster Club episode. So I don't know exactly how the legality works on that. If there's some way to renew it or whatever, but yeah, it should be. If it's 1844, we've definitely passed the 100-year mark with that. Wow, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yep. Now, I don't know if it's going to be set in World War II this iteration, or if it's going to be like modern time. I don't know how old. I don't know what the lifespan of that weasel creature is, so I don't know if he would have survived or been around in World War II times. But that's the comic that this is based off of. So we will have something akin to that happening.
Yes. Make it nom.
The next, apparently we're not getting a traditional season 2 of Peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are, but we aren't, in the sense that it is season 2 of Peacemaker, but it's not going to be called Peacemaker. They're giving Amanda Waller her own show that's just called Waller, and it's still Viola Davis. So, she's kind of I like her. I've seen her do other things other than fucking Amanda Waller. But and she's a great actress, but dare I say, now I'm not saying she's not at this exact level yet, but I feel that what we have with her is the next situation of like J.K. Simmons's fucking Parker, fucking J. Jonah Jameson.
J. Jonah, yeah.
So
Alex Jones in Spider-Man.
Right, where it doesn't matter what universe it is, it's always going to be J.K. and it doesn't matter what it is, it's always going to be Viola Davis. Like I'm fine with that. but all of the majority of everybody from Peacemaker, that survived whatever story they had. I don't remember. It's been a hot minute. It was great. It was fucking amazing show. It's been a minute, so I'd have to watch a recap to remember it. Um, but yeah, so that's essentially Peacemaker season 2. Now, one of the biggies. Unfortunately, we have to wait till July 2025. Superman. Live action full length film. Superman Legacy. Again, no cast, no cast for anything other than obviously Viola Davis, Amanda Waller, and stuff like that. But no casts were for anything were announced, which is fine. I don't really understand how. It doesn't seem like this is going to be an origin. It seems like, and based on another movie that they're doing, it seems like people are going to already be aware of superpowered people. Like when we get into this. Apparently a lot of it's going to focus on Superman balancing his Kryptonian heritage and his human upbringing, which is nice. It's always deep and thoughtful. No hints at what kind of fight or villain is going to be in it, other than it's maybe just a mental battle. But that would be, I don't know if you don't do the deep mental battle Superman as your first outing.
That's a bad start unless James Gunn puts a James Gunn spin on it. And
Yeah.
Then...
But now, where I think this is all going to be headed is that there's going to be another, and I believe they said this was going to be a full-length film. But there's going to be something called The Authority. So essentially, before the Justice League gets set up, there's already a group of superheroes that have formed kind of their own group, and it's called The Authority. Imagine The Boys, but something that DC would put in their comic books. So, not terribly too far off from The Boys, but maybe not as extreme.
it's like Watchmen went to therapy for a little bit.
Yeah.
So not quite that far down the. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But,
okay. That makes sense to me.
But it's a group of superheroes who kind of they're not trying to make things better. They handle shit their own way. They're like, if the easiest solution is ripping that dude's head off, that's what they're just gonna go fucking do. And nobody's gonna tell them not to do it.
I see that Gunn said it will be a very different look at superheroes as they will use any means necessary, and my head also immediately went to Scorpion tearing somebody, or Sub-Zero tearing somebody's head off. Okay, so we're going to get a gritty Justice League, basically, but with characters who are not quite as noble? I like it.
I believe it's old school. Yeah, I believe it does go that far back, Sparrow. I'm not 100% familiar with it myself. But essentially what I'm getting from the setup of these things is that the Authority, society will already be aware of superpowered people because the Authority will already be in existence as a group watching over things. But like I said, for their own divisive purposes, not really for the betterment of mankind. And our Superman, and he probably is just going to be like, I'm not really digging how you're doing this. And then I think that he will have to form the Justice League to stop the Authority. I think that's kind of where we're getting at with this, because like I said, the Authority's got its members, and then the Justice League will obviously have its members. So those things kind of go hand in hand. And we will see how that goes. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with them, but it sounds like a very interesting thing.
Has there ever been a comic book movie that pitted former heroes like that against each other? I'm not talking like Captain America Civil War, where it was a big misunderstanding, but like where the whole damn group just went bad, because that is the kind of new ground thing that we need. Because I would love to be watching the Authority and be like, yeah, I can't wait for them to stay the good guys and everything go. Oh shit, and
Yeah.
then it turns into a all out battle. That's cool, man.
Another thing that was announced. I've been waiting 10 years. I've been waiting 10 long, hard, goddamn years, Gabe. And every so often I'll get a glimmer of hope. But it never leads to anything. Finally, we're getting something properly done with the Green Lanterns. Finally. And I really like the idea that they're going with. Because always the problem that, like, okay, the first hurdle is just deciding to do something with the lanterns. The
Yep.
second hurdle is, which one do we go with? And I like that they're going the route that because they're not picking just one. We're getting both Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, the two that I would have wanted. I'm like, I hope they go Hal Jordan, but I'd be cool with Jon Stewart. I'm getting both. This is fucking great. And what it is, it's like a buddy cop, noir, true detective style.
No shit.
Yeah,
We're,
that's
we're,
that. That's how he worded it. He goes, think of True Detective. And he goes, there the series is going to focus on them trying to solve something that's going on. He goes, the problem is going to be terrestrial. So the problem that they're trying to solve is on Earth. So they're not going to be in space just yet. I mean, I'm sure that there will be moments of them in space, but that's not where the central issue is going to be. But Jon Stewart, Hal Jordan working together, True Detective style with fucking power rings. I'm excited as shit.
Me too. My O face just about popped on camera there. Jesus Christ, that is. Why? I mean, I know that because I haven't watched it yet, but I know the Winter Soldier buddy cop with Falcon was it was pretty well received, I think. But
I think I don't like to count the third Captain America because it's like it's a spectacle movie. Like it's not really an isolated Captain America movie because it's the Civil War. Like that's everybody. It's
yeah,
a mini Avengers movie is what it is. Um, but so taking that out of it, no, Captain America 2 is one of the better, like top tier of the whole, all of the movies that they've done. That one's fucking great. I wish they would do more like that.
and then what was the show? The
Oh,
the buddy cop one.
Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yeah, that one
Okay.
was good. That one was good, except for one kind of like story element that they didn't get to develop as much because it got cut on the floor there.
Mhm.
But I think if we would have gotten a fuller story, see this has also been coming up in conversation, and I think they're gonna have to follow suit. At least one would hope, but all these other shows like not just Last of Us, but like anything, all the Disney Plus shows, the Marvel shows, like their episodes are like 30 to 40 minutes at best. And I'm like, it's like you turn it on and it's over before you even know it, and you're like, well, what did I gain from this? I'm like, they need to breathe these stories out. You need like an hour long episode each episode.
Which I don't really understand because, oh no, I'm gonna do it again. If they're gonna oversaturate the market, why not just give them hour-long episodes to get the? You could do a 5-episode season at that rate and actually tell a story, but nobody wants to do that because they want you to tune in every week, or they don't. They release all at once, don't they?
No, the Disney, they do it weekly. That's the thing too, is that like I used to think that like getting them all at once and binging them in my own, like I do think that doing it weekly is the better way to go because it keeps it more in the conversation, and especially if it's a hit show,
Yep.
and it's just like I feel that even though there's long gaps in between each episode of you watching it, for some reason I feel like you retain more of the show when it's done that way.
Because you're excited to watch it and you want to watch it the following week. Remember back
Yeah.
when we would watch the X-Files on Sundays or
Yep.
Fridays, and it was like I gotta wait a week to find out what the hell's going on in this two-parter. Gone are the days of that. Whenever you put the entire show out like that, so that's a smart move. But the episodes are only 20 to 30 minutes. That's like that's teasing you, and then I don't see how with that kind of material you can tell a story within that short of amount of time and not have these jarring breaks in them. Seems odd.
I think they need to reevaluate how they do their show. I'm not saying that it's been like complete shit show, but uh, they can do better. And I think that once they start seeing how these other shows are like other networks are doing shows and stuff, they're like, all right, yeah. Um, but I was very happy to see the Lanterns get its day. So, moving on, another thing that was announced. This is probably the one out of all of them that I'm the most iffy on, only because of how it's being detailed. They announced a show called, this will also be an HBO Max series, Paradise Lost. And this is about the island Paradise. Well, in the comics, it's Paradise Island, and I think in the movies they sort of call it Themyscira or something like that. But where Wonder Woman's from, the place with all the women. But it's supposed to be way before Wonder Woman is even born or created. And this is supposed to be a Game of Thrones style show about the inner politics of how such an island like that is run.
I think I'm down for that.
Yeah, like it that's one of those ones where I'm like, if done right. The big if. The big if. I'm like, you could make that good. But like I'm just sitting here and I'm like, I'm assuming that this will at some point lead up to the birth of Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that's the end goal for that series. But it just seems interesting that they would go that route. But like I said, in Gunn we trust.
You know, he's tapping into a market there by comparing it to Game of Thrones, so you're going to go into that in the back of your mind for better or worse. And
you're right, Sparrow. If they go hard into the ancient Greece aspect of it, then it'll be fucking easy.
Yeah.
Because
that'll be an easy sell.
Yeah, then I'm down for it. The next is a two-part announcement. One, I'm glad that they're doing this, and this might be something that Marvel might want to look at and steal the idea for, because they kind of did do this at one point, I think, with the Blade movies, the Wesley Snipes Blade movies. But he announced that there's two labels. There's going to be the DC Studios, which is all of the canon films, all the connected universe, everything, like the movies that go hand in hand with each other. And he goes, but then there's going to be another label, and it's called DC Elseworld. And these are movies that do not belong at all connect to the big connecting ones. That's where your Joker's movies will go. And Matt Reeves, the Batman, is confirmed that it is getting a sequel and will be part of the DC Elseworld. So Robert Pattinson's not going to be a part of the whole big shebang bang. Those are going to be their own fucking movies. But it is happening.
That is the best thing that could happen with this, because I don't know about you, but I was digging Detective Batman in that, and I think Pattinson did a good job as the angsty sort of Bruce Wayne. So that is excellent news. I'm so happy that they basically just shoehorned in a R-rated DC universe out there and said we're going to give it this fancy title, but basically this is where all the nasty shit's going to happen. I'm here for it, man.
What up, D? Welcome in. Welcome in.
Welcome, D.
But no, isn't that what Marvel did like way back when, like before the MCU and shit? Like, then wasn't Blade like under like didn't they have like a Marvel Knights label or something like that was specifically like the dark, like Ghost Rider was a part of it, I think. I could be totally wrong, but I feel like that was a thing.
I think they were trying to separate some of the stuff, like how Sony ended up with Venom.
Yeah, like it was like separating like Blade and Ghost Rider from like saying that shit's separate from like, you know, the Chris Evans fucking Fantastic Four and shit like that.
It was basically your kids are going to go to the theater to see the Hulk and you are going to go over and watch Blade.
Exactly. Kind of yeah, exact. Marvel Knights was Oh yeah, because that's how they came up with it, because it was they did have a Marvel Knights comic line, yeah. But so we'll have the Twilight Batman, if you will, and I say that affectionately. But also, we got to have our Batman that's in the connected universe. So there's going to be two Batman. There's going to be two Batman. There's going to be the R-rated Batman that's for the grown-ups, and then there's going to be the probably slightly more acceptable Batman for the kiddies as well in the connected universe. And I think this is where my confusion comes in, because I'm really like, I think how they're setting it up, because the reason they didn't keep Henry Cavill for Superman is because they want to go younger. They really want to get Superman when he's youngin'. But the route that they're talking about for the Batman that's going to be in the connected thing, this would not be a young Batman. This would be a Batman who's seen some shit already. Because this is going to be called Batman the Brave and the Bold. And we are getting a Robin in this. But we are skipping straight to Damian Wayne Robin.
Because, to quote the GQ article I'm looking at, you may not know it, but Batman is a canonical sex haver in the comic books. Batman has fucked everybody. Batman is like Jack Nicholson in Hollywood in the 70s.
He's got all sorts of... He's got Batcopter, Bat Shark repellent. Doesn't have a bat condom.
He always left home without it.
Yeah. So I'm curious as to how old they're gonna well, not so much how old, but how seasoned of a Batman are we getting at the beginning of our potential Justice League? That's what I'm bad condoms. I'm curious as to how that will affect things, but at the same time, like, I do like seasoned Batman because he's got the old man wisdom, you know.
Like Kevin Conroy from the animated series. Yeah.
What was the bats? But I will be interested. I've always liked the concept of Damian Wayne. Like, I like, you know, that he's, you know, it's with Talia. I like that. I like that he's a fucking badass assassin. Like he's a rude boy. He's a rude boy.
Yeah.
And I like that he kind of just gets dumped on Batman's door. Like, I like all of the setup, but just how he act. Like, I think it's just because he's like 10 or fucking 12 that I'm like, it's like, it doesn't matter how evil or badass you are, but if you're still just like 10, it always just comes across as annoying instead of like evil. Like, the closest I've ever gotten to a purely evil child was Macaulay Culkin in The Good Son.
Oh, damn, that's pretty good.
You know, where it's like, okay, it's not annoying or cute. Like, no, that motherfucker's evil.
He will kill you.
Yeah. But so I think that if they don't go the route of having him be a kid, maybe make him like 16, 17, maybe even 18. Maybe not 18. Maybe that's too old, but like 16. I think 16 is a
Angsty
good,
teenager year.
yeah. And it's not fucking weird that like you're like, okay, not only are you a vigilante, but you also clearly child endangerment. Don't fucking, you know what I mean? Like you are just outstandingly a terrible father. Like I know you didn't really have one for very long, but that's no excuse.
I I wonder. Yeah, the age thing with that one, I'm genuinely curious about because that could open up some avenues of plot and all of that, which Batman. Every plot I think's been done at this point, but it's actually got me wondering about for the Batman for adults. Are we gonna get a Jason Todd story? Because the setting in the Matt Reeves universe, it's
Well,
there for it. It's ripe for it. It's ready to go.
I don't think they'll do that. I don't think they'll do that with Matt Reeves because they're gonna keep him young. I think they're gonna keep him in his
Oh
early
yeah.
years. Uh, Even though it wasn't in the description, like the written description, when James Gunn was talking about this canonical Batman or the connected Batman, uh, he did use the term or say that this will be our first introduction to the Bat family. So I think that, obviously that means we are going to get Nightwing, we are going to get Batgirl at some point. I think all of that will happen. So, um, I do think that somewhere down the line that we will get a Batman Beyond. I do believe that'll be an Elseworld movie though. And that's fine. That's what it's there for.
That means we might get Michael Keaton,
Yeah,
which is what everybody wanted.
yeah. Um Next up, this one I mainly only know this character by name and I have a few of the comics. I've not read them. It's just like I said, I just knew for the week, grabbed the wall. Didn't read them all. um But it's an interesting concept. This is another HBO Max series. Booster Gold. Booster Gold. Kind of the setup of this is that in the future, in the far future, there's a guy that's like he's not. I mean, it's a young kid slash adult, young adult. Let's put it that way. A YA, and he's a fucking loser, dweeb, idiot, imbecile. So he comes up with the brilliant idea. Let me take the most basic of my technology now, here in the future, and go back to the past, which would be our present time.
Mm-hmm.
And because whatever it is, it's basic to him, but to us, it's amazing. And he's like, I'm going to be a hero here where people will think I'm amazing.
That sounds like it could be hilarious.
Yep, and it's going to be set up as a comedy. So
Perfect.
So I like I said, I'm like that could be fun. That could be fun. I don't like I said, I don't know a whole lot about the Booster Gold character, so I'm not gonna be able to say how accurate they are. But with a premise like that and James Gunn at the helm, and with how great Peacemaker was, oh yeah, oh yeah. And let's see here, moving on. Now there's two things left. This next one, I really like how this was set up and how this is poised to be. We're getting and I believe this is going to be a movie. Uh, we are getting a full-on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. Now,
Okay.
how this is set, I don't know a whole lot about Supergirl. I mean, I watched some of the show. I have some Supergirl comics. I know who she interacts with. Her situation is varies depending on what storyline you're reading. But how they're setting it up for this movie, I think, is really, really smart. The basis of this situation is going to be now. This is obviously I think she's a cousin of Superman.
Okay.
Um, well, now before Krypton exploded, Superman was exited by his parents and sent to be raised by the loving Kent family.
Mm-hmm.
Now, his cousin Kara here, she did not fare so well. She survived on a chunk of Krypton that was left after the planet exploded. And pretty much all of her existence has been watching everyone she knows and loves die. And she shows up. So, kind of how I see, I think how they're gonna go with that is that they're gonna swing. Not only are Batman and Superman gonna have a bond, that weird, cool bond that they have just in and of themselves, but Superman's gonna be having to deal with Supergirl, and Batman's gonna be having to deal with Damian, so they'll have that to bond over.
That actually could open up some interesting doors for the series, and if they're especially if the younger characters are well received too. That's man, James Gunn got that money machine ready to start printing. That could be really that could be good.
Well, there was one last thing that was announced, and this is I'm glad that this is going to be a full-length film. There was a lot of normal things that I was expecting. I was kind of expecting Lanterns just because it's James Gunn, and I know that he would not ignore Green Lantern like everybody else. So while I was extremely happy, and that's like my big takeaway is Lanterns, uh, there needed to be one big surprise that was just going to send me over the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one I think that you're going to get excited about, sir.
Okay.
We are getting a full-length feature film in the genre of horror. We're bringing back the Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing is coming back in a horror movie. And, I'm kind of thinking with what they've, like the kind of people that they already got over there. And Peter, so you got James Gunn and you got his boy Zaffron there who's working things with him. Zaffron just is producing the second Aquaman movie, which is directed by James Wan. So there's your Swamp Thing movie.
Well,
I mean, they didn't say anything about him specifically, but that's just that's all. That's a big assumption by a lot of people.
I
But
I would like that.
there's going to be a horror film. It says a horror film that differs in tone from the other stories of the DCU, but will still integrate into the larger universe down the road. Swamp Thing explores the dark origins of the Swamp Thing monster.
This commentator speculates that they're going to lean into Cronenberg style body horror with it. I know this might be a stretch. I don't know. I'm not going to say David Cronenberg or Brandon Cronenberg would do it. Although I do want to see Infinity Pool because I want to get real weird with it. Would Don Coscarelli is available, and he can do a dark tone movie.
You want a Reggie cameo is what I mean.
I do want a Reggie cameo. I do want a Reggie cameo, but looking back, I mean, a lot of his stuff is horror comedy, except really for Phantasm, because the humor in that was kind of Reggie and it was organic from how he is as an anti-hero. But thinking about how he does movies and how he can set tone, because going back to one of our episodes on discussing Phantasm, that movie has atmosphere out the ass, and Swamp Thing very much can use some good atmosphere to really bring the scare factor home. So James Gunn is part of that universe, and maybe he will try to tap into getting a Coscarelli to do it, or he might go a completely different route, and you might get James Wan. Either way, what you just said about it and what I just read about it, I don't give a shit. I just want to see it at this point.
And even though nothing was said about this at all, but Swamp Thing would kind of be our first step towards Justice League Dark. Just saying. Just saying that we can start to build that bridge now. um you know, we got to throw in some Constantine, we got to throw in some Zatanna, you know, what was it, the Phantom? Uh there there there's going to be I'm loving everything that this crazy son of a bitch is going to do. Keanu Reeves has said that he wants. I think he has said that they want to do a Constantine too, but I don't know if that's gonna be anything to do with like the DC stuff, or if it's just strictly gonna try to be a sequel off the original and like just keep those things themselves. I don't know what the situation is with that. Um, if I could literally play God, would I like to put Keanu Reeves Constantine into the continuity of things? Could be fun. Not opposed to it. Not also saying that that is also the best move either, but could be fun. Could be fun.
I don't think you could go wrong with it. I mean that has some recognition to it.
That's the thing too, Sparrow.
Oh,
That's the real kick in the dick about it, where it's like I did like Keanu as Constantine, but that one dude that they had for the TV shit, the blonde dude, like that was just like literally you took the motherfucker off the comic page and put him in live action. That was
wait.
that was great too. That's the real kick right there. Maybe you do the Keanu Constantine and Elseworld so you can keep like R-rated demonic shit, but maybe you throw the good-looking dude in for the connected shit.
Did not know that Constantine's character design was based off of Sting, the singer of the Police.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well now we just got to find Sting lookalikes, and then maybe that'll be the route they go. I was about to say Jeremy Irons, but I was like, nope, that will not work. Never mind.
But that son of a bitch, James Gunn, he fucking did it. He came out and fucking last day of the month, and he's just like, I said January, by God, it's gonna be January. Fuck it, I'll see you in 30 minutes. And I'm like, you gotta respect a guy that's just like, well, I said that I would do it. Like, we don't have a stage or anything, but fuck. But I kind of I dig what he's got set up. Like, I think that this all could work and be very interesting. Um, I like the setup. I like the premise. Now I just need to see the final product. That's the real. We can be wazzled and dazzled, razzled and dazzled, till the cows come home and think about what could be, but it doesn't mean a bowl of piss until we see the final product.
No. And when was the first item supposed to come out?
I think the earliest we're seeing stuff is 2025. I forget which one's coming out first. I think we might get Creature Commandos first because that's just like an animated thing that, you can just kind of put in wherever. But
Sure.
I think the big things is Matt Reeves, the Batman sequel, comes out in 2025, but that's not connected. But then Superman Legacy is July 2025.
Okay. I am pleased with this announcement, and I am glad that there will be friendly rivalry between MCU and DCU now, because that means we might actually branch out of the formulas a little bit. Even though judging by what's coming with MCU, I'm guessing that they've already tried to get ahead of that. But this is exciting times. That is nice.
And it's fun when, now that you think about it, it's like the MCU's really kind of gone like sci-fi with the tech and like space shit and like just I don't know, like there's something about like the pure getting down to like you said, like the what he named the chapter is Gods and Monsters, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let's just get to the core of that. That sounds good. That sounds good. So I was a happy boy the other day. That was a good announcement. I'm glad. I will be happy to see things get back on point, hopefully. Um, I know they put out that Shazam trailer, the second one for the next movie.
Hmm.
I don't. The first Shazam was fine. I didn't hate it. It's just it's not a character I care about. That's the thing. It wasn't a
Sure.
bad movie. I just don't give a shit. But it had some fun. It had some fun beats. It was cool to see a superhero version of Big minus the creepy parts of Big. But
Okay.
the second movie here, I like the setup of the trailer though. Like I like the severity of the situation. But for some reason, just watching him fight that dragon in the trailer just took me out of it. Where I'm like, it's not that the dragon looks bad, the effects look fucking great, but I'm just like, this is just a kid that's pretending to be a big guy and he's punching a dragon. Like, I'm just saying, I'm not shitting on it. It's just I'm like, I need another guy wearing blue tights fighting an alien. That's what I need. If I'm gonna be a complete idiot about it, I don't want a man boy punching a dragon. I want a man in tights punching an alien. There we go.
Fair. Very fair.
Yeah. I mean, to each his own. I know we all have our own different tastes.
No, you know, I hate to admit it. Still haven't watched the first one yet, so I don't really.
It's not bad.
That's what I've heard.
It's cute.
That's fair.
You know, and
I
I'm not shitting on Shazam. Like Shazam's a good character in the comics and stuff. Like you know, but and Zachary Levi's great in the role in the movie. It I like the meme, and you know, what's funny is, and it really shows how fucked up things got at the end there. I like the meme going around that uh Shazam 2 and Black Adam are going to be coming out within a year of each other, and neither of them have anything to do with each other. That's how bad things got before Gunn.
thank you, Gun. That's all. That's all. I had something about. So the first Shazam seems more like it's geared towards. It would be geared towards kids then, and then the second one
Yeah.
kind of it seems to be playing off of that. Okay, well,
Gunn we trust.
I look forward. I can't believe I'm going to say this on February 1st, 2023. I'm looking forward to 2025 when we actually get to see this stuff in motion. Then that's I don't feel let down by any of these announcements. This seems like a good route to go. I know we have more announcements coming. That's fine, but I think these 10 items that were dropped on us, I think that's my what's the old saying? My I have wet my whistle with these, and
Mm-hmm.
things are looking
Color
up.
me intrigued.
You had my curiosity, and now you have my attention.
But that's about all I got. Um, a few housekeeping things here. Uh, yeah, like I said, Saturday there will be a James Bond marathon. Or is that is that just something you're doing, or is that going to be in the Discord?
I'm gonna put it in the Discord, so I'll have it on screen.
Okay.
One.
Okay. So we'll have a James Bond marathon on Saturday, and then also on the in the second channel in there, I'll have the NXT pay-per-view on there. So you can go back and forth, wet your whistle, get some Bond, get some Razzling. It'll be
We'll
fun
be doing
times.
both too.
Mhm. We'll have some more movies going on. Just keep posted to when we figure out what we're doing. We did, you know, it was funny. because like I was watching when we were watching Demons the other night, and I'm like, man, I kind of want to watch two. And then you said that, and I'm like, I'm putting on two.
Eh,
And then you mentioned three at the end, and I'm like, I've been wanting to watch three for a minute.
I'll put it on at some point this week. I hope we'll have time to. If not, maybe instead of doing, I wanted to do Saturday morning cartoons, but I know we have something we have to work on too Saturday morning. So, we'll get La Chiesa in at some point. I actually have the tentative James Bond schedule because we're gonna run through all of them this month apparently.
Nice.
If you would like me to read off this weekend's plans.
Okay. All right, go for it.
For February the 4th, 2023, at 2 p.m., Dr. No. At 4:15, this is tentative, by the way, From Russia with Love. At 6:30, Goldfinger. At 8:45,
Goldfinger.
Thunderball with the Tom Jones song, my boy. And then at 11:15, You Only Live Twice.
Those are all Sean Connery ones, right?
Yeah, we're going in chronological order.
Yep.
February the 5th at 5, we will do Diamonds Are Forever. And at 7:30, Never Say Never Again. That is the Bastard Bond movie. That's the one that was non-Eon. And then February the 6th at 7 o'clock on Her Majesty's Secret Service. The other Bastard Bond movie that's actually not that bad. Telly Savalas is in it. February 7th, 6:30 p.m., Live and Let Die. There are two, actually. Oh, Chandler just dropped in. Hello.
What up, buddy?
February 7th, 6:30, Live and Let Die. 9 p.m., Man with the Golden Gun. And then February the 8th at 9:30, The Spy Who Loved Me. So after our show, we'll have The Spy Who Loved Me on.
Trying to remember, because it's been a hot minute. Is the one that has Jaws in it also the one that has Odd Job? Are they both in the same movie?
Jaws and Odd Job, are they in the same movie? You just got me confused there because there is one with a shark.
No.
I was like, whoa, when did that? Did Bruce was in one? Is there one with Jaws and Odd Job? There has to be. There is.
Because like I feel like they're in the same movie for some reason, but I probably not. I don't remember.
Wait, Odd Job was in Goldfinger, right?
Oh, if he was in Goldfinger, then that's not Jaws. Then
Yeah, that was pre Jaws.
okay.
Not Jaws was in
wasn't-
Bruce the Shark, but
Right, but
Yeah.
Jaws was that was Moonraker, right?
he was in Moonraker and he's in The Spy Who Loved Me, I think. I think he's in two. I think it's The Spy Who Loved Me because I remember the creepy ass death scene in the
That's right. I forgot that
Mausoleum.
they did do a Casino Royale back in the day. That wasn't the newer one. I forgot about that. I've not
Yeah.
seen it. I just know that it exists.
I still got it. It is The Spy Who Loved Me and it is Moonraker.
Ah, nice. So we've got trying to think. We got Bonds, Beauties, and Bodybuilders with the wrestling on set.
Love it. I've got to figure
sounds
out
like
where...
sounds like what's his name all wrapped into one. What's that one? Tyler Breeze, the male model one.
Oh man, I miss Tyler Breeze and Fandango. Yeah, and then we do have more beauties this month because, we won't be doing YouTube stuff related to that for a little while, but I am going to play some Udwitch Fennec movies this month. Our patron saint of beauty will be featured because I got lucky, Ian. I got one of the last in-print copies of $5 for August Moon, Mario Bava, and Udwitch Fennec from 1970, I think. So Diabolink DVD hooked me up. So
Nice.
we'll be doing some stuff with that as well. So Full month. Me and Ian have our plates full as well. More to come on those announcements once we get grounded on our timelines. So
I do want to say at least we've moved a step away from the procrastination where it's like, hey, we're not just telling you the shit's coming. Like we actually are working on stuff now.
we took our time and planned very meticulous. We're James Gunning this.
Yes.
And thankfully, because I didn't want to rush all piss and vinegar into it and then be like, oh shit, we fucked up, we have to start over. But I guess my idea about playing the thing in Discord after we put it together, we'll make that. All right, so if you
give our homies the premiere, if you will.
And since most of our homies here are subscribed to us anyway, we're going to put a special screening on of our first YouTube episode once it is put together, maybe minus the intro. I've still got to figure out how we're going to do that and the song for it. Yes, we will have our own commissioned music for the show moving forward once that gets finished. So
it sounds good so far.
It's rocking. It's a rocking tune. So once we get it put together, though, we will announce ahead of time that we'll do a private screening event, and we will put the episode on for everybody, and we'll accept any and all feedback, and you'll get the early screening before it goes up on YouTube. And then we haven't worked out the full schedule yet. But we've got
Get out of my axe.
You can. I can't even do the Army of Darkness thing. Damn it. But we've got a lot of it planned out already. So once we get a little bit more grounded on it, I won't be announcing what is going to appear on YouTube ahead of time, but we will just let you know that everything is on the books for the year, and then you can pretty much know when to expect everything. So we did good.
We did good. But let me see here real quick before we go. Last thing, I think I already did this, but I'm doing it again just to be safe. But like I said, keep posted. In the event that you miss anything, we have a YouTube. It's right there. Hit the subscribe button so you can see all of our shit. Anything you miss, if you miss an episode here, that's where our new shit's going to be posted. And my pilgrimage of retro videos go there.
Yep. And they are great.
Yeah.
I'm glad to have Ian back to streaming, because that has given me life back into going to Twitch to watch stuff again, and also watching you play Batman Returns made me want to go and play the game immediately. So
it's surprisingly a good game. Hopefully I can beat it tomorrow. I got to the last boss, so just ran out of lives. Who knew that Michelle Pfeiffer and Danny DeVito were such formidable opponents in the 16-bit world?
That first boss fight, she was kicking ass. What time are you going to stream that tomorrow?
4:35ish.
All right, 4:30 or 5ish, over at Punk Rock Ian's channel. Go over there and watch the conclusion of Batman Returns.
Hopefully, conclusion. She is mean. Yes.
You got this, bud. I know you do.
But other than that, that's about all I got. Sir, do you got anything else you need to say?
Still no update on when I'll come back to streaming. We'll get there eventually once some of the YouTube stuff is knocked out. I'm pretty excited. But...
Nice. All right. Okay. Nice. Well, until next time, we will see you this weekend in Discord. I will see you tomorrow for my pilgrimage of retro. And as far as the podcast, we will see you all next week. Later.